Welcome to episode 1453 of The Sleeper and the Bust. I am Justin Mason, joined as always by Jason Collette. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing well. Happy September 21st to all those who celebrate Earth and Wind and Fire Day. So it is one of my favorite days of the year because that's such an amazing song, and it's the day after my birthday. So I'm feeling pretty good today. I'm a year wiser. We'll see if that helps you in your final week. But I am, and UCF beat the Tar out of the Tar Heels, so they're just now the UNC Heels. No more Tar, or Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I can't believe he actually took that job, but you know what? People want to try something new, I guess. Happy birthday to you, my friend.
Thank you.
We're not even a minute in. I've already made my first mistake of the episode. It is episode 1454.
That's okay. You haven't muted yourself yet.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, guess where I'll be taking my daughter next Saturday?
Let's see. Are you going to go see a Commanders game? No, wait,
No.
it's Saturday.
We're going to UNC Chapel Hill for a college visit, and
Ooh.
I'm just going to probably wear my night shirt and be like, "Hi guys," they get thrown off campus.
Yeah. You're really putting your daughter behind the 8 ball there already, huh?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not the school she wants. She's very interested, and I think when she goes, she'll be like, "Oh, maybe I will be interested." But yeah, so we're going there next week because it won't interrupt Sundays. I mean, now we can actually start talking playoffs and accountability. We can look back at our what bold predictions we made and like, hey, where did we steer you all in the right direction, and where did we like, hey, my bad, sorry about that. But I think overall, this show delivered this year.
Yeah, I think we're going to have some good things to talk about, some bad things to talk about for sure. Don't go away this offseason. We are going to continue to be moving forward. It may not be every week, but we will definitely be here regularly. Plus, we have the big First Pitch Arizona podcast that we'll be doing live from Arizona. If you've never been, last plug, we're I think 5 weeks away from First Pitch Arizona. It is a ton of fun. If you've never been, it is totally worth going. We're going to have amazing panels. There are live podcasts from this podcast and some of your other favorite podcasts around the industry. You get to hang out with us, watch baseball with us, play poker with us. It is a lot of fun. Weekend of November 8th,
6th, November the 6th through the 9th. That's 46 days away from the day we're recording. I'm doing a session on how to work with AI tools to help your fantasy game. There's a few different, notice I didn't say use AI, it's work with, because you are still the operator. Baseball doesn't throw itself. You still need to do it. And so I'm leading a session on that. And my daughter's coming with me this year. So, usually, the running joke has been I've been father of the year because I've missed her birthday every year. And, most years I have. But this year, she turns 18 the weekend prior. And so her present was she wanted to come with me this year and see why I keep skipping out on her birthday. So she is coming with me this year.
That'll be a lot of fun. I've only missed one kid's birthday for FPAS, but it was their first birthday and they don't remember it. So
I literally ran to the airport from her first birthday. We had it outside at a thing. It was blow out the candle, take the pictures, bye.
So all right, let's we're gonna talk some FAAB. Not really. I mean, there is news to talk about, but almost all of it is this player's been put on the IL and is done for the season. So there's really no application other than if a player is on the IL or hurt right now, just drop them. There's going to be 6 games left for every team after today. So anybody's hurt is cuttable at this point. So let's just jump right into FAAB. Let's talk about Isaac Paredes, who has returned from the IL. And if you need some power, this guy's going to be wildly available. He was dropped in a lot of leagues, including the ones where I had him. Are you picking up Isaac Paredes right now?
Yeah. Yes, I would be, especially if I had in a league where if you lost Jordan Alvarez this week, if you have any money left, that's great. I mean, this is honestly a big surprise. This was not he was expected to miss all of the postseason, and here he is back. So massive surprise. And it may benefit. Let's see what they can, see what you can do for the last week of the season. I'm looking at the Astros schedule, and it's a very favorable schedule for hitting. They only have 6 games, but it's 3 against the Angels and 3 against the A's.
Yeah,
that's favorable.
Yeah, and the A series is in Sacramento, where we know that ball loves to fly. And you're getting to go up. He's getting to go up against Jeffrey Springs, JT Ginn, and Luis Severino. Severino and Springs have both struggled in that park, so
badly.
It's a really, like, if you need power, like, this is the guy to go all in on this week. Isaac Paredes. So moving right along, Moises Ballesteros is going to be getting some playing time down the stretch for the Cubs. This is only if you're probably in a 2-catcher league, but are you picking up Moises Ballesteros?
3 against the Mets, 3 against the Cardinals. I'm not looking at home or away. They're wrapping up the series against the Reds today, so another 6-game week type of guy. I hope there's no lingering effects to him taking that liner off the head at 105. That was pretty
was scary.
Yeah. Then we were talking about, like, why wasn't he ruled out? And I guess because he didn't interfere. Like, the ball, he was behind the fielder, and the first baseman, who the ball went by him, but there was no way a fielder behind him, because the first reaction was, wait, he got hit by a batted ball. Why is he not out? But he did not interfere with the process of an out happening.
Yeah, it was really, really scary. He got hit. It was 110 miles an hour or something like that, with that ball. Somehow stayed on his feet and continued to run to second base, which was absolutely insane. But it's a pretty good schedule, especially when you look at the individual pitchers.
That's what I was just going to ask, because he's sitting again today against a lefty, and he sat Friday against a lefty. So I was just going to ask how many lefty starters are on the schedule for him.
He has David Peterson is a lefty that will lead off that series versus the Mets, and then he has Matthew Liberatore, so he'll at least get 4 games, more than likely. But they're 4 pretty good matchups against the Cardinals. The end of the season, Miles Mikolas, Michael McGreevy. Those aren't guys you're really afraid of. And then at the start of the week, he gets Jonah Tong, who has not been great. Nolan McLean, who has been. So it's really kind of 3 games you're looking to start him for. So this is a lower end C2, but a guy that you could try to stream in there for fairly cheap if you are in like dollar days right now in terms of your FAAB.
Right.
Moving along, we got Zach Cole. Any interest there?
Not particularly.
Okay, we can probably. Yeah, I mean, at this point of the season, you're just looking for a body that's going to play. I think part of the problem is I don't know how much Zach Cole is going to play in Houston this week, so I may also just kind of pass there if unless you are pretty desperate in a really deep league. But a more interesting guy is Bryce Eldrigge. Bryce Eldrigge is the top prospect for the Giants. Mm-hmm. He has made his major league debut, got his first hit last night in the loss to the heartbreaking loss to the Dodgers, which pretty much
you guys could have really had some fun in the division had you pulled that off last night and then won today.
Yeah, I mean, as I told Paul on Friday, like, we needed to win 2 of these games, kind of out of this series to have a real shot. We're now 4 games back with 6 to play, so in for the last wild card spot. So it's not going to happen for the Giants. That being said, Eldridge is a premier power hitting prospect. He's the 11th overall prospect on FanGraphs, the number 1 prospect within the Giants farm system. Ton of power, 70 grade game power, 80 grade raw. The question will always be with him, is he going to strike out too much to kind of tap into that power? But he does walk. He walked at a 10% rate this year in AAA, struck out 30% of the time, 25 home runs in 433 plate appearances. For me, this is the backup to Isaac Paredes. If I can't get Isaac Paredes, I'm going to take a gamble on Eldridge, especially with the Giants having kind of the schedule they have down the stretch. They get St. Louis for 3. Again, McGreevy, Andre Palante, Sonny Gray, and then they get the Rockies for 3. Herman Marquez, Kyle Freeland, and Cade McBrown. Any interest in Bryce Eldridge for this week?
So that means He should start 5 of those 6 games because, like Ballesteros, he has sat against the lefties so far. So that would be there's a 6-game week for San Francisco. He's going to be in 5 of them. So yeah, I agree. That would be a nice backup for Paredes. I was looking at my FBC, my 2 FAAB leagues. I have $1 and $0. So yeah, I won't be getting either of these guys. 1 and 0. So well.
I mean, you might be able to get Eldrigge. I mean, he's
I'll bid the $1. He'll be my backup, but it's not gonna come. It's not gonna happen.
It's probably not. But this is a guy with a ton of power. He, like I said, he's gonna strike out. If you need batting average, obviously you're gonna go a different direction. But I think they're gonna give him a shot to play at least in 5 of these games, if not against the lefty as well. Especially because that lefty matchup against Kyle Freeland comes at the end of the week, right? It comes on Saturday. At that point, they're probably already eliminated. Why not give him a shot versus a lefty and kind of
and I was gonna make that same point. It's like you're probably eliminated. You want to see what the kid can do. Why not use this week this is the way it used to be? And I know we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, back when it was a bigger roster expansion. Well, September was fun because you could see some things. It's like, the year that Jose Bautista, the year before he busted out, he had a good September. You could see some things happening for him. The year Ben Zobrist busted out, you could see some things happening for Ben Zobrist that season and different the season prior. So some things used to happen. Now we don't really get that opportunity anymore. These kids barely get to come up and do some stuff instead of being a factor in the whole month of September. I mean, Eldrigge just got called up. Type of situation. So it's that I do miss that part, but at the same time, this final week, like you said, it could be anything. Throw all the rules out. All right, kids, go out there and play, and let's see what you got. And Kyle Freeland, there could be worse matchups than going up there against that type of lefty.
And here's the thing: the Giants have already shown they're kind of willing to do this. They let Drew Gilbert face off against Clayton Kershaw. And Gilbert has been pretty much in a strict platoon since he's come up. But the other night they let him. They kind of knew we're pretty much done. Let's see what Drew Gilbert can do against the lefty. So
yeah,
I think the Giants could give Eldrigge an opportunity to just play all 6 of these final remaining games. And so if he's available in your league and you need power and you can't get Paredes, then I think Eldrigge is a guy that I would be targeting here, just on the chance that he hits a couple bombs here in the last week. What about Nate Eaton? Playing for the Red Sox, first base, third base and outfield eligible in most formats, hitting 299, 353, 390 with a home run and 8 stolen bases. If you need some speed, are you picking up Nate Eaton?
Yeah, I'm glad you put him down here. He had 4 steals this week. Half of those, and he's getting time in the lineup now that they, with the injuries, he's getting time out there. It's not a clean platoon. Rev Schneider's still finding some time out there. Romy Gonzalez is still finding some time in the lineup, but Eaton has had a steal in each of the past 3 games here. The final game against the Athletics and the 2 here at against the Rays, and I'm sure he'll have another one today, just because you could run on the Rays. So it's a good situation. I was jokingly thinking, I want to see Nate Eaton pitch in a game this week. For those that don't know, go look on YouTube. Nate Eaton is throwing a 94-mile-an-hour fastball in the major leagues. And because he pitched in college, I believe at the Air Force Academy. I believe he's a service academy guy, but he is throwing a 94-mile-an-hour fastball in the major leagues off the mound. But yes, for a speed play, you and I believe we were talking off air about this, but I'm in a league that pays out category winners. And I have a 2 stolen base lead in my AL only league. I wish I had Nate Eaton on the roster so I could try to keep that money coming my way. Because I am going to finish 3rd in that league, and I have the batting average wrapped up. So that's one category, and I would love to have a second category wrap up as well. But yeah, speed play, he's getting the opportunity to get in the lineup, and you look at what Boston's got this week for schedule. Boston has 3 against the Jays and 3 against the Tigers. That's not an easy schedule, but running wise, that's a pretty average. The A's and the Rays present opportunities to run. The Tigers and the Jays run defense, stolen base prevention is pretty good. So may not, like if you got 4, maybe he gets 2 this week. That's best you can hope for.
Yeah. If you're looking for speed, I think this is a kind of a long shot gamble here. Like I said, 4 stolen bases in the last week. That tells you he's going to run when he gets on base, and he is getting on base at a pretty damn good clip right now. So I think Nate Eaton is a guy that you want to be targeting if you need some stolen bases here down the stretch. What about Adley Rutchman? I believe he is still on rehab, but he should be potentially back here over the course of the next couple days. Any chance you're going to take a gamble that he comes back and maybe gets to play 5 games or something like that?
Honestly, I'd rather have Ballesteros if we're going to talk about like comping catchers type of situation. So we're talking the Orioles have the final homestand against the Rays starting on Tuesday, and then they go to New York to close the season out. By then, one would assume that New York knows what their future is because the Yankees are currently 2 games behind the Jays, and they have Yankees have the White Sox and the Orioles. They have a 7-game week, so like the Yankees overall are kind of attractive in that type of situation where the Jays, we mentioned the Jays, they have. Why do I always, every time I go to look, I'm like, I can't find it. Here we go. They've got the Red Sox for 3 and the Royals for 3. So this is going to be a very interesting week in the AL East, and Rutchman could have the opportunity to do some damage. But that said, if he's not actually back, like if he's back, you could take the chance with what you have. But if he's not back on Tuesday, I'd rather have Ballesteros for the week.
Yeah, I think that is probably fair. You know, he did hit a home run in his rehab assignment last night. So it seems like he's healthy and kind of ready to go. I think there's a pretty good chance that he is back. The question is, are they going to let him play full time, or are they going to kind of just say, hey, we're going to give you a couple games and let you just finish the season healthy? I think I'm about the same spot as I would be with Ballesteros. I don't know that either has a huge leg up over the other. I mean, obviously Rutchman is the better talent. But Ballesteros may get more games this week. So I think that it's kind of up to what you need here. Do you need a couple bombs? Because maybe that is where I lean Rutchman, because I just believe in that talent a little bit more. If you need volume in terms of like runs and RBIs, then maybe I lead Ballesteros there.
So while we're here on the Orioles, though, a quick note, the Rutchman situation absolutely sucks for those who had him this year, right? He was going as high as the 3rd, 4th round. That sucks.
On a lot of my teams.
The only silver lining on this is Sammy Basallo just got game 20 on Friday night. Sammy Basallo will be catcher eligible in draft season, and that's huge because if he would have been utility only, that would have been ugly. That would have been a thing, but he just got game 20 on Friday night. So congrats to him, and congrats to fantasy managers that can now draft him as a catcher instead of having to clock up your utility spot.
That's huge because prior to the Rutchman injury, we were saying like, hey, he's going to be UT only.
Yeah.
But Basallo getting that catcher eligibility for next year in 20-game eligible leagues is going to be massive. I also think that Rutchman is one of these guys that I'm going to buy back in on. I think his price is going to completely crater. I think you're going to be able to get him as like the 8th or 9th catcher off the board. And he was really unlucky this year. Like 255 XBA is, almost 30 points higher than his actual BA. 9 home runs and 348 plate appearances. Like, if he can get back to being a 600 plate appearance guy, then you're talking about another 20 home runs, maybe even more, because we know that there's a ton of power in that bat. The Orioles as a whole have just been a dumpster fire. And you got to think the team is better than it was this year next season. I think Rutchman is a guy that I'm going to be buying back in on a lot next year.
So what do you say related to him, though? He's entering his first year of arbitration. This isn't a cost thing, but how do Basallo and Rutchman coexist in the same franchise, right? If you think one was your you looked at one as your catcher of the future 12 months ago, and now this season may have put some uncertainty in your head. One of them got to play. You figure maybe one plays first base, whatever. It's like my thought was, I'm wondering if Rutchman is still an Oriole after this offseason.
I don't think they'd move Rutchman, honestly. I think they'd move Basallo.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, Rutchman is the better catcher, right? Defensively behind the plate, Rutchman is the better guy. I think they want that in the organization. He's also kind of been propped up as one of the faces of this kind of young rebuild part of the organization. I think if they moved one, it'd be Basallo. And I also don't think they necessarily can even play Basayo at first base regularly because they have Kobe Mayo, another guy who's in their top prospect. I think there's a chance one gets moved, but I also think that Basayo could just be the backup catcher who DHs on his day off, which honestly, you kind of love to see from a fantasy angle.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's,
done wonders for Cal Raleigh this year.
Yeah, that'd be my guess is what happens. The other thing that they could do, obviously, is do the thing that they should have done the last few seasons, which is trade a guy like Basayo for starting pitching. It'll be real. I'm really interested to see what happens in Baltimore. I'm really interested to see what happens in Minnesota in terms of, is there a shakeup within the organization? Because my bold predictions, the Fangraphs staff writers, right? Not just the fantasy side, but the entire Fangraphs staff. Everybody did one bold prediction and then did a huge write-up for it. And because it wasn't fantasy related, I couldn't just do this player steals 50 bases or whatever. I had to do something like, that was real baseball. And my prediction was that the Baltimore Orioles would miss the playoffs and that Elias would be fired. And I got a lot of heat for it. And I'm feeling much better about my prediction. I don't know if he's going to get fired or not, but I'll be interested to see kind of what happens here in Baltimore this offseason.
Who was it? Was it also you? Oh, no. I was talking to Mike Rathburn the other day, yesterday. And he did something at the All-Star break and he asked for a prediction. And he actually said the Guardians are going to be contending for the AL Central by the end of the season. Holy crap.
That's a hell of a prediction.
Right? I was like, wow, because it's like this is what I love about the Rays suck right now and it pisses me off, right? But Cleveland coming out of nowhere to be one game behind
one game.
Tigers.
Yeah.
Game, and they just keep winning and can't. Did they sweep the doubleheader yesterday? Because I was obviously a bit distracted yesterday.
I believe they did. Yeah, they did. They not only swept, won 6-0, 8-0.
Wow. I mean, they're scoring runs. They're now one game. I love this. And the fact that the AL East and the AL Central and the AL West, all three divisions are unsettled going into the final week of the season. The only crappy part is only the Tigers and Guardians are playing one another. Houston and Seattle wrap up today, and the Yankees and the Blue Jays are done. They don't play each other again.
Yeah, I mean, and I was about to allude to that, the fact that the Guardians and the Tigers start a series on Tuesday against each other, 3-game set that will likely determine the division, right? Yeah. That is that's a massive series. It's gonna be a really fun week of.
So if your fantasy team's out of it, that's what you lock into this week. You lock into that series in particular. It does suck that the Mariners and Astros are done today, and the Jays and Yankees aren't playing one another. But the Yankees, favorable schedule. I know this is non-fantasy, but I mentioned earlier, Yankees have 7 games, and they have 7 games against bad teams. And the Jays they've got the Red Sox, who are still trying to do something and avoid 2011. And the Rays are certainly helping them avoid 2011 right now. And then they've got the Rays. Toronto does. So they got the Red Sox and the Rays this week. And the Rays, they've been trying to play spoiler, but I wanted them to finish 500, and they got to have a 5-1 week to do that, or a 6-1 week. That ain't happening.
Yeah. All right. Moving right along, we have Will Benson getting some playing time back in Cincinnati. I feel like we talk about Will Benson a few times a year. And then he goes back to being irrelevant. But is he relevant this week?
The Reds with 3 against Milwaukee, who has nothing left to play for, and 3 against the Pirates. It honestly depends what the Pirates are going to put on the mound.
Yeah.
What do they do that particular week? Because if you can beat up on bullpen days, that would be fun. And same thing with Milwaukee. What do they have left? Benson did have 2 home runs. Sunday and Monday, they were both at Sacramento, and then he went 3 for the week around that. Hasn't stolen a base, so the home runs came in a little bit of a pocket on the West Coast trip, 1 against the Padres and 2 against the Athletics. Against that, but if he gets to beat up on the back half, the B squad of the Pirates and the Brewers, I'm interested.
Yeah,
he has my option C with my $1 when I don't get Paredes and I don't get Eldrigdge. Maybe Benson's my guy.
I mean, Benson's one of those guys who can hit 3 home runs in a week. You could also just not even get
30 times.
Yeah, he could also just not get 3 hits in a week, but he could hit 3 home runs a week. So if you're looking for a boom bust play of a guy who can hit home runs and steal some bases, like Will Benson makes some sense farther down your waterfall. maybe a little bit safer option of a guy is Xander Bogaerts, who is coming off the IL after being there since the end of August with a foot issue. It looked like he was potentially even going to be activated this last series. It hasn't happened yet, but he should be pretty close to being on the field to play. Any chance you're picking up Xander Bogaerts for some extra runs, maybe some stolen bases and batting average?
So a 6-game week himself. He has the Brewers and the Diamondbacks for things. And then if you figure where he's going to play, thing is, when you put him in the lineup, he's going to be down. So I don't know how much run play you're going to get. I don't know if the Padres adjust the Tatis Jr., Arias, Machado, Jackson Merrill spot of the lineup. So we're still talking about a guy in the bottom half of the lineup. Hopefully plays every day, and that's where the value is right now. Is he should get all 6 games type of situation and let him play the 6. He's one of the more attractive names for this particular period, but I don't know if it's more if I'm trying to fill a hole in my roster than trying to move anybody. Like I wouldn't, if I had a good everyday player already at up the middle, I'm not dropping him to make this move.
Yeah, I mean, I think the nice thing about Bogaerts is, aside from the fact that he can help out in multiple categories like runs and batting average and stolen bases, is the fact that the Padres play on Monday, and there are not very many teams. I think there are only 6 teams playing on Monday, which means if you have a weekly lineup lock, you'll know on Monday whether he's playing or not. It's not a matter of I've got to guess and see if he's going to be here. If he's not in the lineup on Monday, then you don't need to put him in your lineup in a weekly lock lineup league. I actually like this. It looks like he is going to likely be activated on Monday for that series. He does have kind of a tougher series to start against the Padres with Brandon Woodruff and Freddie Peralta leading off. But after that, they're going to be they're going to be having Arizona come to town where they're going to get Eduardo Rodriguez, Nabil Krismat, and Brandon Pfaadt, 3 pitchers you would love to target here, as well as the last pitcher in the
Pfaadt looked pretty damn good his last outing.
But that's the thing about Pfaadt, though. He can look great, and then he can be absolutely terrible. And I don't know if you heard the Friday podcast yet, no. But Pfaadt has a 7.48 road ERA this year.
Sweet.
So he has been fantastic at home. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I don't remember the actual stats, but I believe it's 3.51 home ERA and a 7.48 road ERA this year.
I was gonna. You mentioned. I didn't realize. I knew he had his issues against lefties.
He actually hasn't. He actually hasn't had the big lefty righty split, mostly because he's given back some gains against righties. But sorry, I'm going to correct myself. 3.15 home ERA, 7.29 road ERA this year.
So you weren't that far off. 7.42, 7.29.
He's given up 21 of his 24 home runs on the road.
Wow. That's
wow. It's been really, really stark. And Pfaadt does have 2 starts this week. He will get started in a lot of leagues, but they're both on the road. And so I've got Pfaadt in a league. There's no way he enters my lineup.
Yeah, even on 2 start. So you mentioned Peralta, and the only thing we've hinted at a couple of times, what are these teams that have nothing left to play for? What are they going to do? Peralta, I was just looking at his game log. He has gone 5 or 6 in every one of his starts since the beginning of August. This final one, do you think he does anything more than one time through?
I mean, here's the thing, and I think we've talked about this. I know I've talked about it with Paul. I think I've talked about it with you. And I think you actually kind of alluded to it earlier in the podcast, is this isn't the old days, right? They don't have 40 guys to choose from to kind of say, okay, you're going to go 3 innings here. Because they only have a 28-man roster right now. So that would still tax the bullpen.
You got a 9-man bullpen though.
This is true. I mean, am I confident that Peralta and Woodruff are going to go 5 or 6? No, but I'm more confident that they have the ability to do that early in the week as opposed to later in the week. I think for sure, if we've got a guy like Peralta who has a 2 start this week, his start versus Cincinnati.
No, Peralta goes today. No, I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Peralta's got Monday. I'm my apologies. Yeah.
I would say that there is no chance Peralta goes 5 or 6 on Sunday versus the Reds. Even if he starts, there's obviously a chance they just say, you're not even going to start, right? We're just going to enjoy the playoffs here. So, but I think there's a little bit better chance he can go 5. He definitely won't go 6. The
only thing I kind of hang my hat on, like if I'm looking at something, if I am a Freddie Peralta fantasy manager, the Brewers have a 3-game lead on top seed. So it's like, that's not wrapped up yet, but it will be by the weekend. Exactly. And the other factors. But I still feel that Peralta is going to pitch Saturday because remember, they get that first round bye. So if he, so do you really want him sitting around a week and a half?
That's
These
a good
guys
point.
are creatures of habit. So I could see him coming in and at least pitching like 3 innings on that Saturday, since that may be his last outing for a week.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually a really good point as well. So, moving right along, we have going back to my Giants, we got Patrick Bailey, who's been hitting the ball fairly well. This is the 3rd catcher on the list today. Where would you rank him among the other catching options in Rutchman and Ballesteros?
We saw a schedule with I think I'd rank him 1 with that strength of schedule with 6 games with the Rockies and the Cardinals. That's pretty damn favorable.
I think I would too, because I think he's also going to play quite a bit, behind the plate. Probably gets just an obligatory day off here somewhere for Patrick Bailey. But he has played 5 of the last 6. And with only 1 lefty on the docket, I got a feeling like, hey, they're going to give him that day off against Kyle Freeland, but that he probably plays 5 of these 6 games. And he has been hot as of late, showing some power, hit a grand slam the other day. So I think that Patrick Bailey, he's not a guy that I love long-term as an offensive guy. He's much better, just real life behind the plate kind of catcher. But I think this week, I think he is streamable, especially as the C2.
Yeah.
Then we've got a former Giant in Kyle Harrison. Any interest there?
Kyle? Here's the thing. When I was looking at his game log, now his last 3 games, and you got to spread it out because he was with your Giants, then he was in AAA, then he's been with Boston. But his last 3 starts have been at Colorado, at Sacramento, and at Tampa Bay. Arguably 3 tough parks to pitch in overall. He's allowed 2 home runs. They both came at Colorado when he was with the Giants. No homers in Sacramento, no home runs yesterday against the Rays. So he's pitched well. And it's a 2.57 ERA over those starts, 13 strikeouts and 14 innings. Has allowed 4 runs. 2 of them have come off the home runs. So, yes. And then we looked at we talked about the matchups earlier with Boston. Boston has 3 against Toronto, 3 against Detroit. So the Toronto is the tougher of those 2 matchups right now. And I didn't see how he aligns up which team he's going to start, or is he a 2-stepper this week?
He is going to be facing Detroit at home.
Yes, so that's right. Since he pitched yesterday, he's only going to be a 1 guy. I am interested in Kyle Harrison this week.
Yeah, I think I am too. I'm glad you pointed out the fact that he has not been giving up the home runs since he's returned, but I also want to kind of extend that into his minor league work while being with Boston, right? He threw 50 innings in a third in AAA Pawtucket. I think it's Pawtucket still.
No,
right?
It's Worcester.
Oh, Worcester. That's right. AAA Worcester. Only gave up 5 home runs.
And that's a tough park. That is a tough park.
It is a very tough park. And, I say this all the time. I love Boston's, pitching coach, right? I love Andrew Bailey. I like their pitching development in Boston. And Kyle Harrison, former top tier pitching prospect. I think this is a really interesting pickup, especially in those leagues where hey, you can, keep a guy next year for $1 if you pick him up off of the wire in a deeper format. I think this is a guy who's going to be potentially in that rotation next year and has a lot of prospect pedigree. I think this is especially if you're in a deeper league, maybe 10 or 12 team leagues, you're not doing something like that. But a 15 team or deeper than that, yeah, I'm picking up Kyle Harrison. I think I'm starting him this week as well. Let's kind of go to a different pitcher, Stephen Kolek, who's a guy who's had some really interesting kind of bouts of relevancy this year, but kind of up and down between the majors and the minors. Any interest in Kolek here?
Yes, because he's facing the Angels. And that's his staff. And if he also doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, that's kind of a problem. Yeah. So it really depends on what you're looking at there. I was just looking at where the Angels line up against lefties. They are below league average against. I'm sorry, he's not a lefty. It's righty. It's just It's just the overall situation with. I don't know why I had Kolek in my head as a lefty, but it's just a favorable matchup for him. And even then, the Angels they're still below average against righties. So yes, this is a favorable matchup. It's not a 2-start, but this is a good matchup.
Yeah, and since being called up by the Royals. Remember, he was moved to the Royals at the deadline. He has a 1.67 ERA in 27 innings with 19 strikeouts. Like you said, you're not going to get a ton of strikeouts from the guy, but he's pitching really, really well right now. And last start went 7 1/3 in that start. So they're going to give him an opportunity. He's actually gone over 6 innings in his last 3 starts, 7 innings, 6 2/3, and 7 1/3. So if you're looking for some ratio help right now, and the ratios can move still a bit here at the end of the season, I think Kolek is actually a really nice sneaky pickup here, even with just 1 start. What about Trey Yesavage? Any interest there?
A lot. I got to watch his debut. He looks fantastic. His delivery reminds me of Dean Kramer a bit, but the arm slot, his release point is one of the highest. It looks fantastic. And the thing I'm really curious about, have they tried to get him postseason eligible? Because remember, he got called up after the deadline. And I was looking at a story. I didn't know. Do what?
I was going to say they put Chris Bassett on the IL, so I believe they can technically replace him with anybody that's on the 40-man.
Because it said rules state that only players on the 40-man or 60-day injured list as of 11/59 on the 31st are eligible for the postseason. And then, however, a player that doesn't meet that criteria can still be added to the team's roster in a postseason via petition to the commissioner's office if the player was in the organization and is replacing somebody on the injured list who has served a minimum the minimum amount of time required for activation. So there, to your point, if Chris Bassett is taking one for the team here with back problems, is what they put him on the IL with. But yeah, so I didn't know if that. So the only reason I was bringing that up, because if he's not going to be postseason eligible, then pitch the hell out of him this week. He's pitching today against the Royals, and he's got to start against the what's left of the Rays. And he's already dominated them 1 time. So, yeah, very interested, even if it's a 1-start week, because they want to, if he's not going to be eligible in the postseason, then go let him pitch his final game and let him do as much as he can against a team he's already fully dominated. And then let him sit back and soak in the postseason. If they can't use him, give the bullpen a break.
I think they will be able to use him. I hope so. I think that is one of the reasons why they, put Bassett on the IL to give him the opportunity to be eligible here for this first series, wherever it's going to be. I agree. I mean, there's a ton of strikeout upside here. You look at what he has done, what Yesavage has done in the minor leagues. We're talking about a guy who had a 41.1% strikeout rate this year in between 4 levels. He started in low A, made it all the way up to the majors this year. A lot of strikeouts. The question will be, like, what is the walk rate? He had a 10% walk rate overall in the minors, but a 15% walk rate in AAA. So will the whip be good enough? And will he be able to, not walk too many guys and get himself in trouble? But a lot of upside in the arm. So I think I'm definitely willing to take Gamble, especially when he strikeouts right here.
169 strikeouts and 43 walks and 103 innings of work this year.
pretty crazy. Yeah.
But the thing is, as we bring that up, if you rewind just a few weeks ago, we were talking about the ridiculousness of Jonah Tong's numbers too.
Yeah.
And he has been up and down at his starts, but what was the outing? Who was the team that took 18 straight pitches against Tong to open? Was that the Phillies? Somebody took 18 straight pitches, did not swing at a pitch, and made him come into the strike zone type of thing. But having watched Yesavage's outing against Tampa Bay, it's like it's the uniqueness of where his arm angle is, how high his release point is, and everything. It's just really tough to pick his stuff up, and you can see why he was piling up these strikeouts in the minors as he did. So yeah, he's, like I said, we know what we're getting into. He's going to pitch against the Royals today. That's a great matchup for him. And then Saturday, he's already gone against that lineup, and they couldn't do a damn thing.
Yeah. Then we have Brad Keller, who's been getting some work as the closer in Chicago. You picking up Keller?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it last week, and the funny thing was then Kittredge went out and ripped off a couple of saves. But I did say last week I like Keller, and then he ended up getting the save back to back. He got Monday and Tuesday after Kittredge picked up a couple of saves. So it's like I believe it's 3 Kittredge and 2 Keller here. But the problem is the Cubs haven't had a save opportunity since the 16th, and so we don't know who's going to be the next guy up with the situation. So Kittredge did throw 19 in yesterday's game, and Keller has not pitched since his back-to-back saves. But yes, I would, if I'm in a tight and I need 1 or potentially 2 saves, I will throw a thing on Keller, just like I said I would do last week.
Yeah, I think what you said is actually the only problem is we don't really know which one's the guy. And there may not be a guy. They could split these down the stretch. But if you're taking a dart throw, he got the last 2, Brad Keller did. So why not take the dart throw on Keller? And then let's finish out with we got 2 more. Kyle Finnegan is back from the IL and should be going right back into his role as the closer. Where are you at with Kyle Finnegan?
Back in my lineup, massive. I mean, I'm in a league where I have an outside shot at first, and it saves plus half a point for holds, and I got that hold yesterday, which was nice for Finnegan. But we already alluded to it's a big week for Detroit. The three against Boston, 3 against Cleveland. This is a very big week. They could be a lot of late close games, and wouldn't surprise me if he pulls some type of the way. If he could pull what was it, Tanner Scott that 1 year with Miami, where he pulled all these saves really late. I think he won you a league based off that, or somebody I know. I don't know if it was you, but yes, there's gonna be a lot of late and close games this week. Big spotlight on him, and I want Kyle Finnegan everywhere I can throw him in. I know what his risks are. I don't care. I'm just hunting for saves.
And you know that he's the guy, right? Like the whole issue with Keller, and then the next situation that we're going to talk about is Finnegan is going to be the guy in the 9th when the Tigers are up. So he's going to have an opportunity here. He could rack up 2 or 3 saves down the stretch. He could get 0, but especially if the Tigers continue to sputter and lose. But Finnegan would be my top kind of closing option of the week. Let's finish out with the A's closing situation, which has been kind of up in the air pretty much since they traded away Mason Miller. Any interest in maybe a guy like Hogan Harris or Michael Kelly here?
Again, if I'm hunting for the saves, I mean, Harris had 2 saves this past week. Kelly had 1, but he had 2 opportunities, plus he had a hold. If you're in a saves plus hold league, that plays out. So one or the other. You may not be able to get both. You don't want to roster both, but Harris lefty, Kelly righty. I'm going to default to the righty. I didn't look. I can't see what the matchups were. Why Harris was the guy they brought in, and why it was Kelly the other. And maybe it was just because Harris threw 26 pitches on the 18th, and that made Harris unavailable. So if I got $5, 4 on Harris, 1 on Kelly, based off usage just last week. I can't go back and see what it was the prior week. But just the way this reads, this to me seems like Harris is C1 and Kelly is C1.5.
Yeah, I think that is probably where I'm at too with the A's situation. I just don't know how many games they're going to win, and I believe
Not a great schedule.
Yeah, not just a great schedule, but all at home too. Where it's just
3 against Houston, 3 against Kansas City, all at home.
Yeah. So I think this is kind of the longest of dart throws. But if you're gonna take it, I guess Hogan Harris would probably be the guy I'm leaning towards, but not feeling strong one way or the other. All right, that is gonna wrap us up for our last FAAB show of the season. Like I said at the top of the show, we're going to be going in the offseason. Won't necessarily be every week, but we will be back here regularly over the course of the end of the season, especially to kind of talk about like, hey, what happened? We'll do labor and Tout Wars wrap ups, maybe a TGFBI wrap up and an Earth wrap up. And then we'll start getting prepped for 2026 because, hey, we work hard in the offseason to make sure that everybody's ready to go at the start of the season. Jason, remind everybody where you can reach and what you're working on, if you're working on anything, because it is
I am. So find me at Blue Sky, Jason Collette. This last week, I did an article looking at, we talked about it a little bit last week about sprint speed and how that Josh Naylor in his single-digit sprint speed has 27 steals, and Juan Soto and Victor Scott have the same amount of steals, and night and day kind of thing. But just looking at who's running and some of that. And then the next piece, I wanted to go back and look at spring training. We talked about it a couple of times about how teams kind of tip their hat in spring training. I want to go, now that we have season stats wrapping up, who was running in the spring as a team and did that translate over to the regular season, so we can take a look at that. Then it's accountability season. I want to start looking back at the bold predictions I made and see which ones worked out, like Kyle Schwarber hitting 50 home runs, Lenny Sosa having fantasy value and being what he's doing for the White Sox, things like that, and which ones sucked. And there are a good amount of both. But every year I try to get about a third of the bold predictions right, and don't go for the safe ones. And I think I did pretty well overall this year, but I want to look back and celebrate the ones where I did and see what lessons can be learned from the ones I didn't. I do want to skip the labor and tout recaps because I sucked in both this year. Just man, when you're starting, when you're labor, we draft labor kind of early in the season, for like early March. Arrighetti, McClanahan, and somebody else. Like my top 3 starters, I think threw 5 pitches for me all year.
But I mean, those are the leagues that are the most important to recap, right?
I know,
because it gives one of my favorite things to do at the end of every season is I do my whole series on I call it the Justin Mason apology tour, right? It's break down all the teams that did not do well, that were not successful, and break down why. It's how you learn where you've gone wrong here.
100%.
So, we for sure will be covering all those, including my last place labor team.
Mine's only in 10th, so suck it, Justin.
Yeah. Well, you can know you can see why when you look at my lineup. I have so many guys on the IL, and by the end of the season, I just gave up in terms of setting my lineup and stuff like that. But we'll be covering all those kind of industry league teams. As well as kind of getting prepped for 2026. I am writing it Fantasy Pros and Fangraphs. I'll be writing Fangraphs in the off season. Fantasy Pros, pretty much my last articles will be done today and tomorrow. So I just submitted my last 2-step article, and then I'll be recording here and on the Friends of Fantasy Benefits podcast. But come to Arizona, 46 days away. It's really, really fun. I just bought my tickets last week. Danielle and I will be arriving very early Thursday morning. So if someone wants to go get breakfast at the hen house across the street, let me know.
Same time we get in. My daughter and I get in about 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I think we get in around 9.
We get in about 10. I know Adam's making it back this year, and he gets in right about the same time. He texted me, and so a few of us will be getting in. So between hen house and the donut shop next door. I love those donuts.
It's there's some great places to eat, some great fun to be had, and a lot of things to learn, and a lot of great fantasy baseball talk to be had. So if you have never been to Arizona and you're on the fence, jump off the fence, meet us in Arizona here in about 46 days. We're going to have an absolute blast. For Jason and myself, thank you for listening. Have a fantastic end of your baseball season.
Indeed.